Okay, so after, we're going to follow this through, not quite the way it is in the program, but through the process, the way we've gone. So we've got to the point that there's some virus chosen, and so the next thing you have to do is register it, the evil registration process.
Oh, no, please. Aren't we through with that?
I'm just repeating what I've heard, but you know what? Two people who've told me and taught me that it's not as bad as it actually sounds have been Ina and Jacques, because they actually did it for virus products, and then they worked with the PMRA, facilitating, helping other people do it. So they're exactly the right people to give us advice now that we have our viruses and we want to get them registered. Okay, so take it away.
Will do. And actually, I'll have to climb off this chair. Jacques, and I need that chair over there because I need to show you guys something. When we came to Canada, rumor had it that you could not possibly register things like baculoviruses in Canada and anything biological, and it was very, very difficult and very complicated. And we figured that didn't make any sense. So before we started even going out in the field finding a virus, we first went to Ottawa, met with the regulator and said, you know, what do you need for us to give to you so that you can give us an approval? And not only in Canada, that means with Health Canada, but also in the US, that means with EPA. I would suggest to anybody who looks into baculoviruses or any other biopesticide that at this stage already you go and talk to the regulator. You could do that all electronically nowadays. You don't have to jump into a plane and fly to Ottawa or anything like that. When we came to Canada, there was a big debate, should these things be regulated at all? I must say I think it should be regulated, because when there is a registration number on the label, the growers know this has been assessed for safety, it has been assessed for efficacy, so growers feel safer with what's in the bottle. And I also think it's good if somewhere government or anybody else, I don't care, it just happens to be government, could be anybody, has some sort of oversight of what happens in an agricultural production, what happens in a forest production. For me as a consumer, I like to know that somebody's looking at it, because I don't have the time to check what is done to my food. I need to rely on somebody doing the looking for me. This is, okay, could have wiped this away, I guess. This is the website of the Pest Management Regulatory Agency. Like all governmental websites, it's humongous, but I would say most of the information on it you don't really need. The reason is that it's a lot of legal lingo, explaining why they say something and in which context they are saying it and where else it has been said. You don't need all that. What you need is just the key elements of what you need to know to be able to do your job. Question is, how do you find that? So I'll show you how you find it. And
you want me to click? Tell me where?
It's easier if I just zoom it. So if you go into this website, how do you find them? You go into Google and you go into PMRA, Pest Management Regulatory Agency. The good thing is that what the PMRA says is pretty much the same thing as what the rest of the world says. So if you generate a data package, generate it in a way that you can use it anywhere in the world, because your data package will always be the same, even when the virus changes. Very important. So this is the website where you get to. Once you want to register, you become a registrant and applicant. Today, you might not be one, but tomorrow you might. So this is where you go. And then you scroll down to what we call the pre-submission consultation. What that gives you is an Excel sheet of titles of the studies or the information that Health Canada needs to have to give you the approval to market your product and for growers to use the product. Really easy. You go in here, And again, lots of stuff to read. I suggest you don't, just listen to me now. You go here to the pre-submission consultation request form, which just really asks for who you are, what your product is, means you give it a name, give it any name, doesn't matter at all. You can change the name at any time. Say what the active ingredient is, and then say what information you're looking for. And the way, can we open this easily? Yeah, probably. I would simply ask for all the information in one shot. What? Do I accept?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I accept.
Not my
Here again, first page, just explanations. Here is actually the form. Takes you 5 minutes to fill in. Company name. As of today, it's you. You are your own company. It doesn't matter. They don't really care. They just need a name that they know whom they can talk to. What I would always advise you, Deborah, to do is if you work with any students on any product, do not only put your own name, put their name as well. Because if you want them to follow up on something with Health Canada, Health Canada will not talk to them unless their name appears here under Identify All Participants. If the two of you, Jorge and Deborah, you want to work on something together, put both names there. Product name, invent any, call it, I don't know, Kwantlen, October 20th, 2012, call it anything. Active ingredient, well, it's a baculovirus. Registration number, no, you have none. Use site category, that's important. There are 33 different use site categories. One is greenhouse fruits and vegetables, one is greenhouse ornamentals, one is forest, one is field ornamentals or field. So there are 33 categories of these. And you just list the ones that you have in mind. And you can find the numbers from 1 to 33 somewhere else on the website. I'm not going into that today, right? But if ever you need it, it's there. Product type, well, is it an insecticide, a fungicide, or an herbicide? As it is a baculovirus, it's an insecticide. It's easy. Purpose and goal of consultation, registration. You want to register your product. And here comes now, what area of expertise are you asking for? And even once you're really, really knowledgeable in it, have done this kind of stuff for 20 years, always put your hook into requested, 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 requested. Don't ask for anything specific. If you ask for something specific, you will only get that information. But there might be other things that have changed. I mean, here, administrative process, data requirements, submission organization, formulants. You might think you know it all because you have done it for 20 years. So what? Health Canada changes something, all of a sudden you don't know it all anymore. So just to make sure you are updated, always put your hook here into each and every of these cells. And then, well, is this proposed as a reduced risk product? Yes, absolutely, it's a microbial. Is it being proposed as a low risk biochemical or other non-conventional biopesticide? Well, it's difficult. Say yes or no, it doesn't matter. Your life doesn't depend on it. Is it a joint review or work share? Or with the EPA or OECD or so on? Here I would always say yes. If you say yes here, what happens is that when the PMRA thinks about, so Health Canada thinks about, what information do we need to have to give the people a registration for this product, they'll talk to the other countries as well. And you want to know what the others are thinking. Sometimes it's Canada that's more advanced, sometimes it's the US that's more advanced, sometimes it's Australia, sometimes it's the EU. You never really know. A data package, even for a microbial, has about 200 different information items. You always want to have the most up to date. And the most up to date is really when a government says, you know what, this information we have looked at so often, we never want to see it again. You want to capture that one. Do you have any questions? No, just a form. Then you have a proposed product label. You don't really have to design a whole label. what the agency wants to do here, wants to have here is a description of what you want to do with a product. So if you, for example, say, okay, I want to control codling moth in apple orchards all across Canada. And I envision the spray application of an aqueous liquid. That's all you say here. That's all they need to know at this point. So it's not a long document to be designed. The reason that it says proposed product label is that this formulation, this way of expressing themselves, is the same for the chemical industry. So sometimes it sounds a little weird when you are a biologist, but to the regulator it makes sense. And then this is really the thing that most people struggle over, the statement of product specification form. You open it, or not. I didn't really want the guidance, right? I wanted the form here. Okay, people look at this. They say, oh my God, that's a nightmare. I have no clue what they are talking about. Let's not go for a pre-submission consultation and let's do some research instead. Research is fun, paperwork isn't. Don't take it so serious. It's just a pre-submission consultation. Product name, what have we called it? Kwantlen, October 12th, 2012. Be a little bit creative. Name of registrant. You know what, today it's you. Maybe tomorrow you'll sell your virus at somebody else. Just let the agency know. It looks impressive, but it really isn't that impressive. It's easy to fill in. Then when people come to what's in it, in terms of active ingredient or later down the list of formulants, people typically go, I don't know what's going to be in my product. I don't know what I'm going to formulate it with. But that's fine, then don't put it in there. Just put in what you know. This service is for free. The only thing you're sure of, there will be water in it and virus in it, and probably some debris from the larvae that have produced the virus that will be in it. Write that. Yeah.
Is it like a legal document that if you have to, if there's information you don't know, do you need to put not applicable or unknown, or can you just leave it blank? Because legal documents, you can do that.
Yes. But this is just pre-submission. So in exchange for this form, the government doesn't give you any permit or anything.
No.
So it's just a communication tool.
Okay, so
It's really not so important.
everything, you can actually leave things blank.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But if you have some sort of idea of what you might want to put in, just write it down. If you think putting in some sugar or salt or pepper or whatever, you know, if you just think it's a good idea, write it down. Doesn't mean that in the end you have to do it. It just means that if Health Canada has a concern with it, they'll let you know now. If they are worried about sugar in a pesticide because of obesity, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But, you know, then let them tell you at this point.
Well, an more practical example is soy. Many want to put soy as a formulant. That means that on their label, they will have potential allergic reaction. So it's a choice. If you want, it's possible to have soybean oil, but the cost is on your label, there will be danger, risk of either skin irritation or allergic reactions.
So what you get then, and I really should have searched that earlier, somewhere here, probably in Acts and Regulations. Jacques, do you know where we have the microbials, the directive for the microbials?
Where are we now? Sorry.
You know what? We'll take the screen off. Could you please search the guidelines for the registration of microbial pesticides? So, you have chosen your virus, and now you ask Health Canada is working for you for free to establish the data requirements, and then you get a long list of information items you have to provide to them. That they need to have the information does not mean that you now have to conduct any studies. Especially for baculoviruses, most of the information has been written up and published over and over and over again. The point is that when you send in your application to Health Canada, you have to provide them with every information you want them to look at. They are not going to make any literature search for you. They are also not going to review any literature that you send to them. You find the literature, you review the literature, and you write what you conclude from that literature. So that the scientists working for Health Canada in the end then say either, yes, I agree, or no, what a fool. That's what they think, they don't say. The point is that the regulators are like the judges. And if ever you have been in a courtroom or have seen it on television, you know that the judge cannot lean over to one of the lawyers and say, you should be saying this and this and this now. Right? Either the lawyer says it, or the person representing themselves says it, or it isn't said. So whatever you don't say in your data package, in your application, the evaluators can't agree or disagree with. And if you say nothing, it appears like a hole and you won't get a registration. Good news about data packages for baculoviruses is that the biggest part, I would say 90% of a data package has already been written up. Problem is you don't have it. I don't have it anymore either. I did until I lost my company, or we lost our company. We had to write it all up to get registration for our baculoviruses in Canada and the United States. But when we lost the company, you know, we lost that too. What I think would be really a good project, and I know that some people working on baculoviruses have started that, is writing up a generic data package for baculoviruses and just simply posting it out there on the internet, so that anybody who wants to register a baculovirus in any country can just download the 90%, fill in the missing 10, and submit it for registration. Any questions? You're all convinced now registration is great? Okay.